If you feel like money keeps catching you off guard, I want to show you what I do every month. I've used this method to pay off our $116,000 worth of student loan debt, how we were able to pay cash for an adoption, how we were able to fund owning 2 homes accidentally, and how we were able to pay for unexpected medical expenses when my husband fell off a 2-story ladder. Life is not predictable, but our budget has been steady and has helped me remain calm as much as possible in the midst of difficult financial seasons. Today, I'm going to walk you through my monthly budget reset, and I'm going to show you how I use our budget to plan every single dollar so that money doesn't catch us off guard. There was a season when I thought being good at budgeting meant being good at predicting what my life was going to look like. If I could just estimate better, if I could categorize better, if I could read the future, then my budget would be better. And everything changed when I realized that I had to actually live in my real life. I needed my budget to actually reflect what was happening in my life. I stopped trying to predict what might happen, and I started building a reset rhythm. That shift from predicting to rhythm is what helped us pay off debt and survive owning 2 homes and handling medical expenses that were a surprise. Budgeting isn't about control, but it is about having clarity. And you can't have clarity if you're not working with the actual numbers for your real life. A reset is not starting over, it's reconciling your budget with your actual reality. It's sitting down before the month begins and looking at what income you expect and what bills you expect and writing them down. Not what you hope, not what you wish for the month, but what is actually true. And that shift can change everything. Now I'm going to give you an example of how I use my budget, my spreadsheet, and how I've done this for the past 20 years. So the first thing that you'll do is go to monthly budget. I would name this the month, but for this example, we'll just leave that as monthly budget. In this example, we are going to have a $6,000 household income. So in my home, that means our income comes from a variety of places, including a salary for one person and a salary for another person and a side job, and then maybe some extra income from selling something or income that you weren't expecting or income that comes not every single month. So this is our placeholder $6,000 income for the month. Now we are going to assign each dollar that comes in a plan. We're going to give it a role in our budget before the month begins. We're going to be proactive about this, and we're not going to assume that the month is going to be perfect. We're just going to plan for real life. So once you have your income in the budget, then it's time to start with the essentials, the things that absolutely have to happen. So we're going to put our mortgage or our rent. We're going to put some utilities and 50 and water and sewer. And then we're going to go to gas for your car, and we'll put that at 300. And then we're going to go to insurance. This can be health insurance, long-term disability insurance, life insurance, auto insurance. You probably have maybe a mixture of both of all of those things. So we can do 150 in health insurance and 50 in auto insurance. We put money toward life insurance each month and then pay it annually. And then the same thing for long-term disability insurance. And we will put that at 30. That also will include groceries. So we will put $900 in for groceries. That makes our total expenses $3,850. And these formulas are already in the spreadsheet, so you don't even need to worry about it. That leaves us with $2,150. These are not negotiable. These keep the lights on. These are so important. And then we're going to do step 3, which is protecting our future. This is where you are going to put any college fund contributions, if you're doing that for any children, retirement fund contributions, and anything that you're saving for the future. So I am going to put $500 in college fund and $600 toward our retirement. And then another thing that's important for my family is giving and generosity. So I'm going to put $600 there. And then I have $400 for future expenses. So these are funds that we carry over each month because they don't happen every month. So this may be saving for a new car or a vacation, or maybe getting your hair cut. Maybe you get your hair cut every 6 or 8 weeks. So you'll put money there. Maybe that's clothing expenses or medical expenses. So I have future expenses. I have $400. So I'm going to put $100 toward a new car, $100 toward a vacation, and I'm going to put $100 in medical expenses and $100 in clothing expenses. So this gets us very, very close to our budget. So we have $50 left, and this needs to be earmarked for something. I do not like leaving a buffer or kind of wondering, but I definitely want to make sure that when you are planning your budget, you make sure every single dollar has a name. So this is where the unpredictability of your budget is handled. When we were paying off $116,000 worth of student loan debt, there were things that were smaller, like college fund contributions, retirement fund contributions. We definitely weren't saving for vacations or cars. And then if we're preparing for things, we may have these funds be larger. The goal is not perfection, it's stability. So it's important for you to look at your actual month, your actual budget, and then plan for the future. So because I have $50 left, I'm going to think about my actual month and figure out where I want to put those dollars. So for me, I am going to put 30 in restaurants and 20 in pet expenses, and that is going to make our budget so there is no money left unassigned. This is a zero-based budget. This doesn't mean that it is rigid. This means that every dollar has a purpose when the month begins, and that life isn't going to surprise us. Things are going to come up, and it means that we can figure it out. We can put money where we need it as the month happens. So don't rely on a random buffer. Rely on intentionally trading money from one category to another. So if you end up having more medical expenses, you may need to cut some money from your grocery budget, or you may need to give less that month. We start with clarity. Cars need repairs, teeth need work, homes need maintenance, and these are not emergencies. This is where the budget does its job. So this is what my budget looks like at the beginning of the month, every single month. And it's different. Sometimes I plan different things. Sometimes our income is different, but every dollar has a place at the very beginning of the month. And then as things happen, I fill it in the received column. So when income comes in, I will put it in the received column, and that will show me how much money I have actually brought in for my total budget. And the same thing with money that comes in, money that is spent. So that will be in the spent column. So as I put money toward my kids' college and into our retirement account, I will enter that here. So that is where the working tally tab comes in. I will copy the finalized bank transactions every few days and paste them in here, and then I will copy the number. So let's say this is college fund, and that is $200, and I have several kids, so we'll copy that. and we'll put it into the monthly budget college fund. So we'll put, 200 plus 200 plus 100 maybe. Put that right in here. 200 plus 200 plus 100 for my 3 kids. That equals 500. And in the working tally, I'll come over here and cross it out. And if a number is crossed out, I know that I have added it to my monthly budget. I'll go through, and as our rent comes in, I will put that in. As our electricity bill comes in, I will put all of those in. As groceries come in, I will put in how much I have spent at the different stores. So my grocery budget looks a lot like this, and maybe this, and like this. And so as those come in, they go into the working tally, they get crossed off as they are added onto the budget. And then I know how much I have left in the budget. So this is how much is remaining. And then if it's a category that may get carried over to the next month, there will be money here. Restaurants, for example, maybe we don't spend any money in restaurants and we'll carry over $30. Hopefully that helps. And then at the end of the month, this number should equal this number, and you have spent every single dollar. Here's what I do each month. Before the month begins, I open the previous month and I duplicate that tab in my budget spreadsheet. I look at what money I have left over that's going to be carried over, and I make sure to reconcile that with the new month. I look at what income might be coming in. I make any adjustments that I think might be happening for that future month. And then I finalize that plan before the month begins. This takes maybe 15 minutes. It takes some planning. It maybe means I need to look at my calendar. You may need to have a conversation with a spouse or a family member to make sure that you're thinking through all of the things that might be happening in that month. Of course, you can always adjust later, but it is good to think about all of the things that may be happening that month and plan for them. It is important to have your plan going into the month so that as things happen, as income comes in, as you have bills come up, you can put them into your budget and examine it. It is a working document that you can add things into. As unexpected things happen, you may need to move some things around, and that's okay because you have your plan. The plan can always change because it needs to be based in your actual reality. So you plan for what you think the month will look like, and then it moves and grows as the month progresses. Budgeting didn't make our life more predictable. I wish it did. I wish it could, but it doesn't. But it did make me more calm when unpredictable things happened in our life. And that's why I'm sharing this with you, my actual budget system that I have used for almost 20 years that has brought me calm in the unpredictable. If you want steady, zero-based budgeting that works in real life, I invite you to download the spreadsheet below. You can use the link in the description. This reset isn't about control. It's about building a financial nervous system that doesn't spike every time something unpredictable happens. It allows you to relax into your reality. That's what steadiness really looks like. I can't wait to hear how it helps you in your life.